Good evening, Makerere. I take this opportunity to also add on the previous speaker, inviting you all. If you're under the influence of my voice, feel free to come around. We have a number of activities going on. We have a medical camp where a number of examinations and tests are being done. So in case you want to know about your health, feel free to come by. The medical camp is free of charge. We also have activities including music, and later on, you're also going to be hearing from our guest preacher, who is coming from Liberia, Pastor Gemani Gete, who will be speaking to us the words of life. In this session, we're going to be speaking a bit about our health to try to understand, as we've been discussing in the previous couple of days, things that can be done to enhance our health and to also reduce on the chances of us being ill health. Yesterday we discussed and tried to look at what are some of the things that we ought to eat if we are to have good health. And as some of the pointers that came out quite clearly, one was the fact that what we eat is very important if we are to be in good health. And we appreciated that plant-based diet is the best diet we can have if we are to have a good health. That includes vegetables, fruits, grains, cereals, legumes, name them. We also agreed that the amount that we take in is also of vital importance. If we take very little, then we are going to have deficiencies, and so we shall have disease. And if we also take a lot, more than we need, disease is also knocking at our door. Finally, we also agreed that eating at the right time is also of paramount interest. And we agreed that early in the morning is the best time to take the heaviest of the meals. Then at lunchtime, you reduce on the quantity, and then in the evening, you take the least of the quantity of the food. If possible, you might even forego the meal of the evening. And we agree that if we do such, then a number of diseases are going to be reduced, and we shall be able to be in good health. Today, we're going to be thinking about exercise as an important aspect of health. Now, I do believe that all of us have heard about exercise. But as we're going to be going through our discussion, we're going to notice that there are quite a number of things or benefits that come with exercise that I believe we might not have considered before. As our scripture reading has said, John chapter 8, verse 32, that you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Many of us might be under the bondage of some diseases or illnesses that if we knew better, we might not be suffering under them. And as we're going to be seeing, we shall see that there are quite a number of diseases or illnesses that can be put to a stop if we understand how our bodies operate, even as exercises help us to have a good health. Now, looking at exercise, there are usually two types that we consider or that we should take in interest. The first one are the ones we call aerobics. Now, aerobics are exercises that we do which involve not straining the body so much. In other words, as you're exercising, the body has the opportunity to have enough air that it's taking in. Then we have another type that we call anaerobics. Now this is where you're straining so much that the exercise or the strain on the body is too much compared to the amount of the oxygen that you're taking in. As we shall see, both of these exercises are important. It's not enough for you to have only aerobics or to have only anaerobics, but both of them ought to be combined if you're to have the best out of the exercises. Now, I do believe that most of us, while we're still in kindergarten, speak about primary, one of the disciplines that we had, or subjects, is what we called physical education. A number of us enjoyed it, a number of us also perhaps did not enjoy it as often. But during this time, this is when we would go out and exercise. And it was a very important thing, as we are going to see, that exercising and also learning go hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other if you're to excel. Now, some of the things that the teachers would always make us to do is the exercise of telling you to breathe in so hard and later on breathe out so hard. In other words, they'll tell you breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, and then later on breathe out. Now, this seems to have been a kiddish thing to do, but as we are going to see, it actually has a bearing to our health. Now, this comes out quite clearly with anaerobics. When you do anaerobics, you bring your body to a place where it desires to breathe in so deeply and also to exhale so deeply. Question would be, what are the benefits of doing this? And as logic would tell us, if you breathe in so deeply, you allow the body to take in as much oxygen as possible. And as I guess that you already know, oxygen is important for us. So if you have the opportunity to breathe in so deeply, you will have the opportunity to boost your health. And as you exhale so deeply, you also allow the body to take out as much toxins or wastes as possible through the lungs. So in case you're having a lot of impurities within your bloodstream and you're exhaling deeply, you're allowing the body to take out as much waste products as possible. In other words, if you have the anaerobics, as I'm going to list some of the examples, you bring the body to a place where it inhales in a lot of fresh air and then exhales out a lot of what I would call bad air or impurities or waste products, and so you're keeping your body in balance and it's going to appreciate you of that. Now, what are some of the examples of the aerobics? As researchers have been looking at the idea of exercise, they have come to a conclusion that one of the best exercises single-handedly that I believe all of us can do is actually walking. Now, jogging is good, sprinting is good, playing different sports are good, but one of the best exercises that you can ever do is actually walking. Lucky enough, God has allowed most of us to have our two legs that we can actually walk. A few of us perhaps might be disabled, but they also still have an opportunity to exercise. Now, walking as an exercise is actually an aerobic, or in other words, while you're walking, you have the opportunity to take in as much air as possible, even as you exercise. Now, other exercises like jogging, this might bring you to a place where we might talk about anaerobics, where you might jog so fast or you jog so many times that you come to a place whereby you need to grab a breath. And this, like we've said, is important. Other exercises also include swimming, include things like skipping a rope, playing soccer, rugby as one of the games here, or sports, playing netball, basketball, name it. Question would be, why would it be important for us to always engage in these exercises? I've already highlighted that as we breathe deeply in and also deeply out, we allow the body to take in fresh air and then exhale the impurities that might be contained within our bodies. Now, let's try to look at some of the interesting findings about exercise as pertaining to our health. The first one I want to talk about is as relating to some of the lifestyle diseases that we talked about yesterday. Lifestyle diseases, like I said, these are diseases that come because of the wrong choices of the lifestyle decisions that we make. Diseases such as hypertension, diseases such as diabetes, speak about cancer also being implicated, obesity. These are all diseases that come because of the decisions we make on a daily basis. If you're doing the wrong thing at the right time or the right thing at the wrong time, all this is going to impair your health. What am I talking about? As logic would tell us, any doctor or anyone who has spoken to a health provider, you've been told that diabetes is a disease that comes up because of failure to balance your sugar levels in your bloodstream. And as you'd already have figured, exercises actually require you to have energy for you to be able to continue therein. In other words, for you to exercise, you need glucose or you need sugar within your bloodstream to be able to continue exercising. Now, if diabetes is a consequence of you having a lot of blood sugar within your bloodstream, it only makes sense that if you exercise and you're burning a lot of the glucose, then you're going to lower your blood sugar levels. What am I saying? For anyone that is suffering from diseases such as diabetes, also hypertension in its own league, all these diseases can be reduced, or the risk can be reduced by doing exercises. I've talked about aerobics and anaerobics. For people suffering from diabetes, they would benefit a lot if they would only exercise after taking in their meals. So the moment you have your lunch or your breakfast, you go out and partake of some of the exercises we've already mentioned. Now, speaking about exercise, it's not speaking about only jogging. Like I've already highlighted, one of the best exercises you can have is as simple as taking a walk. Merely walking has a lot it offers your health than you can even imagine. So if you're suffering from diabetes or even at the risk of developing it, every after a meal, make it a point, instead of sitting in your couch and perhaps watching TV or doing something else, move out and exercise a bit. It has a lot of implications and consequences in reducing your blood sugar levels. The same with also hypertension. Hypertension has been linked to things like atherosclerosis. This is referring to failure to control the fat in your bloodstream. And as you exercise, we also know that you're going to break down the fats, and so the risk of hypertension is going to reduce. Obesity. This is directly a consequence of having a lot of white fat in most cases. And so if you exercise and you're eating the right thing, chances are high you're going to reduce on your weight. So you're going to reduce on obesity. And so many diseases are going to be kept away from you. So the first thing is exercises are going to help us in reducing the lifestyle diseases as we see them. Others call them non-communicable diseases. The second thing that I want also highlight, this is of keen interest to the ladies. We have that time of the month when things get a bit blurry and there is a lot of pain. One of the things that comes in handy for someone who has continuous cramping with a lot of pain is actually exercises. Now this can range in all sorts of flavors. It could be swimming, it could be jogging, it could be stretching, and this will help you a great deal. For one who is debilitated, by that time of the month when you have a lot of pain, exercises are going to go a long way in helping you relieve that pain. Not only exercises, but also what you eat is also going to be quite important in that regard. And like we said already about eating, a plant-based diet is the best diet that you can have for your health. Because if you give the body the right nutrients and the right circumstances, then it's going to be in position to function adequately. So the brain cells will work well, the kidney cells will work well, even the immune cells are going to work perfectly well, and you'll be in position to even fight diseases. Now, another point that I want to mention that I believe is of keen interest to us as students, or even if we're not students working or whatever, is the point of the benefit of exercise as pertains to depression and stress. If you ever find yourself in a place whereby perhaps you've been studying and you can no longer move further with what you're studying, the best thing you can do for your body to rejuvenate is actually exercising. This I've experienced it personally, and I do advise that you also do the same. If you feel you're depressed or something is on your mind, perhaps you're having a lot of thoughts on your mind, the best way that you can relieve yourself of those is to actually go and exercise. It could be jogging, it could be walking, it could be swimming, it could be taking any other sport. This also goes a long way in helping you cope with stress and also depression. So in case you know of someone who might be stressed or frustrated at this point in time, the best thing they can do is to actually go out and exercise a bit. As we come to the end, I want to also highlight something which I believe is also quite important as pertains to exercise and health. By this time, not just health in a general sense, but health in a mental sense. When you do exercise, a number of research results have come out to prove that the more you exercise, as you also study, the chances are that you're going to understand better the things you're studying and also retain better the things that you're studying. Quite often, we've seen quite a number of students or even our colleagues that take more time reading their books, and unfortunately, at the end of the semester, we find that the results are not as we would expect. Question is, what could be the problem? Yet you find someone who takes perhaps less time studying and more time doing other activities, excelling even more than who is someone reading more than. Question is, what is it that this one is doing that the other might not be doing? And the simple answer is exercise. The brain is in a place whereby if you do exercise, you enhance the ability for it to be able to retain whatever you are studying. Not only retain it, but also enhance your reasoning and your logic. Meaning, if you exercise and you go and study, you're going to have a chance to be able to understand the things you're studying quite better. If you have 5 hours to study, I would advise take off an hour to only exercise, and then the 4 hours can be for study. If you do not do this, the chances of you being able to excel are going to be minimal. The brain has been organized in such a way that the more you exercise, the more it gets the opportunity to even grow bigger in its ability to retain whatever you're studying and to even reason better. So I advise that if you are a student and you want to excel in your academics, one of the things that you should be doing is to actually exercise regularly. Like I said, exercising doesn't mean to move out and start jogging. It can be as simple as being in your room and skipping a rope. So if you have a rope, you can start with that, and that is also good exercise. But besides that, walking will go a long way. One of the things I believe you've already figured is the idea of physiotherapy. Most of the time when someone gets some illnesses like stroke, for example, and they are admitted to a hospital, one of the things the doctor will prescribe is actually physiotherapy. Question would be, why is someone having a problem with their brain being prescribed to do a bit of exercise? And like I've already highlighted, exercises help our brain, first of all, to grow a bit bigger, reason better, and recall things even better. So for someone who is having any problem that might be related to the brain, exercise is going to be a good friend of yours. Not only that, but also exercise enhances the rate at which our blood is going to be circulating. All of you, I believe you'd bear witness that when you do exercise, that is to say jogging, by the time you finish, your heart rate is going to be a bit faster, your heart is going to be even pumping a bit stronger. When you're exercising the heart muscle, and then also you're allowing for the blood to be circulating in the entire system. And if you have this, then you have the opportunity to repair all the cells in the different parts of the body and for them to be in a good health. Exercise helps the muscles, first of all, to become stronger, and as the muscles become stronger, they help with the blood to be pumped around in the blood veins. Blood veins do not have the opportunity or the ability to create a lot of pressure like the arteries do, and so God has designed it in such a way that the muscles, as they are strong, they help the veins to actually push blood to come back to the heart. And so when you exercise, you're not only getting all the other benefits I've talked about, but also enhancing your circulation, and later on you're going to have even enhancement within your health. We conclude by reviewing what we've studied today. One, we've appreciated that there are different types of exercises. There are aerobics and also anaerobics. And we do well to exercise in both of them. Aerobics, you're doing an exercise but with an opportunity to take in fresh air at a rate you desire. And then anaerobics, this is where you might put a constraint on your body, and so you need to take in deep breaths that we've seen are beneficial to us. Some of the benefits we've seen with exercise, one, we've said that it helps with reducing the risk of having lifestyle diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, cancer, obesity, name it. All these are going to be reduced. So if you're having someone who is suffering from some of these challenges, I do advise you to advise them to start regularly to exercise. It doesn't have to be sprinting or going for a marathon, but doing something as simple as taking a walk. Unfortunately, today we're having so many people sitting back home and not doing any activity, and so these diseases are coming up. The second one we appreciated is that with the ladies, it can also come in handy in reducing the pain that comes monthly in some of them. The other point we've also appreciated is that stress and depression can be put away with a mere exercise. The more you exercise, the more you increase your blood circulation to the brain, and so the brain is refreshed, rejuvenated, and can think more clearly. And finally, we say that if you're a student and you want to have the ability to retain whatever you're studying and to also be able to remember what you're studying, exercises are also going to come in quite handy. And we've said some of the exercises we can have are walking, doing exercises even within the enclosure of your room, such as skipping a rope, stretching, push-ups, sit-ups, jogging, walking, and also swimming, plus all the different sports as we know them. if we can only do these things, then our health is going to be boosted in tremendous ways. And that is the simple discussion we've had today about exercises. In case you have a personal question, you might still approach us at the medical camp to try to address it. But in case you also have any other question, feel free to also pass it to the people at the medical camp, whether relating to health or relating to the study of the scriptures we've been having it through the week. Feel free to come around. And in the next segment, we're going to be having our guest speaker speaking to us the words of life. And as we conclude this segment, I'll again read for us a verse that we've always been thinking about as pertaining to us being not only spiritually healthy, but also being physically healthy. And that is a verse we've been getting from the book of 3 John, verse 2. In the book of 3 John, we have the writings of John, and he speaks to us saying this. And this is also going to be my belief or my call to you as we go about our business. Now, this is what John says. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. John speaks to us and he tells us, one is he desires us to be in good health, and then secondly, also as pertaining to our spiritual life to be in good standing. So as we've just had this segment discussing a bit about our health, we're also going to have a segment discussing about our spiritual life. That these two do not stand on their own. As you plan to be healthy, plan to also be healthy in spiritual matters. And as you plan to be healthy in spiritual matters, also put your body in the best place possible to be in good health.